riding uphill on a bike is hard. But can you imagine climbing 1,000,000 meters of elevation? It sounds impossible. It's equivalent to riding up Mount Everest 112 times. Well, Jack Thompson, a cyclist from Australia, is just 20,000 meters short of achieving that 1,000,000 meters of elevation in a single calendar year. I mean, that's bonkers. It's equivalent to riding 20,000 meters of elevation a week, every week, for a year.
And that means if you miss a week, then you have to do 40,000 meters to make up for it. Doing 20,000 meters every single week is absolutely savage. And upon hearing about this mental challenge, we had so many questions for Jack. Like, what motivated him to do such a bonkers undertaking? How are his knees faring up? How have they not exploded? What does he eat? So many questions. I mean, how does he have time for a job and fit in other commitments? Well, to find out the answer to all of these and more, we're going to chat to Jack remotely, who's based in Girona. Good to see you, Jack. Thanks for joining us on a call. I know you're very busy with trying to complete this challenge, but the first thing I've got to ask you, like, why take on such a bonkers challenge?
Yeah, good question. Like I said, I'm asking myself the same question throughout the year. I had this idea that I wanted to Everest in every municipality of Portugal, and it fell through. And I thought, I still want to Everest once a week for a year. And I thought, but that's going to leave me with, 6 days a week where I'm not doing anything. So I thought, let's round up a little bit. What happens if I do 1,000,000 meters in a year? And I could raise €1,000,000 for 3 mental health charities. And that's sort of where it all came from.
So, it still sounds mental. So you go from like thinking, I'd like to do an Everesting like every year, but that's more than an Everesting every week. Sorry, but that's more than 2 Everests a week, isn't it? What you do?
So what I did is I started doing 1 Everest a week, and then around that Everest, I do 11,000 meters of additional elevation to basically get me to 20,000 meters of elevation every single week. Right. And if I times that by 50, 52, I get 1,000,000.
So what's a week look like for you in trying to hit that 20,000 meters a week target? Like, how do you structure your week?
So typically a Monday's 3,000 meters elevation, Tuesday 3,500 meters elevation, Wednesday 3,000 meters elevation, then I have an easy day on a Thursday before an Everest, 1,500 meters. And then an Everest on a Friday, another 1,000 meters on a Saturday, and then a day off on a Sunday.
So you have a day off on a Sunday. You do have 1 day a week where you're not riding.
Yeah, I figure I need a day of rest. The body needs it, as does the mind.
How do you keep the consistency of that then? Because, what have you been ill? Like, have you, because if you have a week off, that's then big catch up, isn't it?
The biggest thing this year has been trying not to get sick, trying not to get injured. I've been really lucky. Like, I've had 1 week where I was sick, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And touch wood, I haven't had any injuries, but I've literally been living like a bit of a monk. So, like, my social life has probably suffered as a result of it. My partner would tell you I've been a grumpy for the better part of a year. There's been a whole lot of sacrifice in order to sort of get to where I am now. And I just can't wait to have normal life again, to just, be able to go out for lunch and not have to think about carbohydrate, or to be able to go out for dinner and not have to worry about being home to get up in the morning. I've done 150 hours of bloody stretching this year. I worked out the other day. It's just stupid things I've done in order to make it happen. But it feels pretty good to be where we are now.
Yeah. And at the time of recording, how far have you got to go?
20,000 meters still to go. So I've got
Right.
1 Everest. I've done 51 Everests. We actually head back to Australia on Friday, so I'm cramming this week to try and get it all done.
So the big thing is you're on track. to complete this mental challenge, which is phenomenal. If I had a hat on, I'd doff it. Tell us more about the fueling and like the food. Like, what on earth do you eat when you're riding 20,000 meters of elevation every week?
Mate, another fun fact, I worked out I've had 2,500 gels/bars/ride food throughout the year. So like, when I'm on the bike, what I've found is like I'll typically eat gels and chews from Goo, just because they have a massive range of different flavors, and that works for me. What I found as well is that like I eat a lot when I'm on the bike, and immediately before and immediately after. But then outside of that, I eat pretty light, because I've found that my body's more effective at burning the carbohydrate when I sort of periodize it around the training. And it's worked pretty well. Like, I haven't put on any weight, I haven't lost any weight. Like, it's kept my body composition pretty, level throughout the year. And I think that's a good sign it's sort of worked for me.
Like, how have your knees not exploded?
To be funny, like the last week I have a little bit, like in my right knee, and I haven't said anything to anyone about it, because I don't want to accept the fact that maybe it's a bit of an injury. But yeah, I've sort of worked, and I think it's just a tight muscle, and I've just been, hammering it with the foam roller.
I think you're probably quite resilient. That way, you're not a stranger to ultra endurance, like crazy stuff. I mean, that's what you've been doing for a long time. How is this possible? How are you sort of funding doing this?
So this has been like my full-time job for 3 years now, and like I'm lucky to have partners on board that support basically the challenges that I do each year. And I think it's worth, like, I don't just do the challenges for the cycling aspect of it. I've done a lot of these challenges around raising awareness for mental health, because it's something that I've suffered with growing up. And so, some people might say, look, he just gets to ride a bike all year and, it's pretty good life. But I'd also argue that, look, I'm doing it for a good cause. And I'd encourage anyone that sort of said that to jump on a bike and try and ride 1,000,000 meters. Like, it's not easy work.
Doing what you've done, it's going to require a great amount of like mental resilience, I'd say, to be able to just get up and do that volume like every single week. Have there been any sort of dark periods throughout the last year where you've really struggled or something's gone wrong?
Yeah, so many, hey? Like, it's been a big roller coaster, like so many highs and so many lows. Like in the middle of the year, being in Spain, the temperatures really got warm, and like I just hit the halfway point. I just come back from a trip to the US doing some elevation over there. I had jet lag, and I realized that I still had 50% still to go. And I realized how busted my body was at that point in the year. And I questioned, like, why am I doing this? I didn't have donations coming in for the fundraising aspect, and I sort of questioned why I was doing it at all. And I actually took a week off. I spoke with my coach. I said, like, I need a bit of a breather. Like, I'm completely stuffed. And he said, all right, take a week off. You're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. So I took that week off, and it just allowed me to sort of clear my mind. I think the fatigue had built up to a level that I sort of wasn't thinking straight. Like, I was just so tired and so fatigued and so over climbing the same climbs again and again that, my mind just needed a bit of a break. And when I came back from that, I actually felt great. Like, I was ready to get back into it. So
in terms of sort of favourite climbs that you've done and least favourite climbs, I mean, you seem like a great person to ask. Like, what are we saying?
So I've got to be honest, the least favourite climb I've done is one here in Girona on the coast. It's called basically the golf course climb. It's around 15% for around 2.5K. And it's basically just a straight road up. And the day I did that, it was raining. I snapped a chain. I was just hating life, to be honest. My brake pads were gone. I didn't have a spare set. Like, I was just, didn't love that day on the bike. That was a low point. But as far as like the highs go, the best climb I've done, it's not a climb anyone would know. It's not a climb like I would look at and say, oh, that's an amazing climb. It's a climb that was a residential street while I was in the US. And just the interaction with the people on the day was what made it a highlight. people coming out, and I felt like I got to know them. They got to know me. They were bringing out some food. Like they all got behind it, and that was pretty special. It was because like I met people and I had that interaction on the day that it was an amazing climb, an amazing Everest.
Are you like any fitter now, or are you just like exhausted?
Well, like if we get a bit geeky and look at Training Peak scores and things, like the fitness is definitely like the highest it's ever been. Like the fitness number at the moment's around 240, so it's right up there. But I am incredibly fatigued as well, so I think bring on the rest.
Like what? So what? Speaking of that, when you do finish, what's next? What's the plan?
Right, first, I'm going to try and break the record for the most sleep in a week. So I'll be down in Australia. I'm going to, in all reality, going to catch up with mates and enjoy basically a month off the bike. I haven't been back in Australia for 3 years, so I'm looking forward to that. And then next year, I'm wanting to take on a couple of less extreme, more philanthropic style projects, but also prepare for 2024. I've got a goal. I want to break that round the world record, so I'm going to spend 2023 preparing for that.
So that's the Mark Beaumont thing. Lachlan Morton's thrown his hat in the ring as well, hasn't he?
Yeah. It'd be cool to see a bit of a battle.
I mean, it just the whole thing of it just absolutely blows my mind. Speaking to you now at this point, it feels like you sort of make it sound so easy, but because it's all been sort of done and you're almost there. You're at the last bit, but I just can't imagine how difficult it must have been. I just want to ask you about like the sort of recovery aspect of it, because it feels like that's absolutely crucial. Have you got any tips, or like, what is your regimen, or like things you've learned that help you recover better?
I think stretching's played a really important role in me being able to do this. So like every morning before I ride, I'll do some activation stuff just to get the muscles firing, the right patterns going. Every night before bed, I'll just do a 10, 15, 20-minute stretch just to loosen things up before I go to bed. So there's the stretching. I think actually eating enough is really important. So whether it's somebody preparing for an Everest or, just a big week on the bike, I think the combination of stretching, eating enough, and getting enough sleep are the three big ones for me.
Do you what gearing do you have on your bike, by the way?
So I'm using the SRAM, basically the lowest gears that I can use. So I think it's 36 on the front and I've got a 38 on the back.
Biggest sacrifice that you've made to do this? What is it?
It's hard for me to pinpoint all the different things, but it's like going to bed early, getting up early, not going on family lunches with my partner. Like, I don't have time for other things, and I miss that. Like, I really want to go down to Barcelona for a day and just have a look around and be a tourist, but I can't.
Have a few beers.
Yeah, I just want to have a few beers and relax. But I can't do it because I'm on this tight schedule. And I'm actually nervous about next year when I don't have the schedule, because I'm probably going to feel a little bit lost without it for a little while. Because I love routine. I don't love this much routine. It's probably too much. But I'm also nervous about how I feel afterwards, like a bit of, will I have the blues?
So the main focus is obviously elevation, but just as a consequence of that, how many kilometres have you ridden throughout the year?
It's not that crazy. It's around 30,000 kilometres.
That sounds a lot, but I can appreciate, yes, that doesn't sound a huge amount when you consider the elevation. Well, great talking to you, man. I don't want to hold you any longer because I know that you've got this schedule, and I know you've just said you've got to go out and get 3,000 metres today, which is I love the way you said an easy day is 1,500 metres. Easy day for me is just feet up on the sofa, doing nothing. Yeah, we'll post a link down below to the donation page and stuff. All the best with it. You're going to smash it. And great talking to you.
Look forward to a few flat rides next year, mate.
Yeah. Catch you later, Jack.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. The most ridiculous, bonkers cycling challenge. What an incredible accomplishment. If you're impressed by Jack's efforts, then please give this video a thumbs up, show your support. And also let us know in the comments section what your annual elevation total has been for 2022. I'm going to post mine down there as well in the comments section. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and enjoy some more Christmas treats, eat some mince pies and some cake and a big Christmas dinner and not do an everesting. Love you. Bye.